Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Lien, and today I'm excited to have Kayan back to talk about how he's secured $1 million in funding with Axi Select. If you remember, a few months ago, I talked to him about turning $500 into $500,000 in just 9 months. Now, he's hit Axi Select's top milestone, withdrawn over $90,000, becoming one of their first pro-M traders. And Kayan's only 22.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here again. Thank you for giving me the spotlight once again, and I hope that we can have a productive conversation today.
For those of you that are not familiar, Axi Select provides a very unique capital allocation program that basically gives traders real funds to trade with without the restrictions of traditional prop firms. Zero registrations or monthly fees, unrestricted trading conditions, an edge score, and so on. But today, we're here to talk to Kayan about his trading strategy, his success, his consistency, and his payouts. So Kayan, can you tell us a little bit about your trading style and your trading strategy, or the mindset that you had in order to achieve the success that you did? Because a lot has changed from when we spoke back in December, where you went from $500,000 to $1 million in funding.
I think that my main strategy with my Axi gold bots, they have been fairly the same. I've swapped around a few bots here and there, but essentially I still do a swing trading, looking at the hourly graph strategy with gold. I think that this is the best way that you can trade this asset, because if you try to find patterns in the day trading gold, it proves to be very, very difficult. I've been having success with swing trading on gold since last year. Fortunately, I haven't changed the strategy that much, but I have improved it. So this is how I got the latest stage.
Is gold the only instrument that you trade?
Not really. With Axi, yes, but I also like NASDAQ and I like Bitcoin as well.
Do you feel that the discipline and the consistency that you have in trading your Axi Select account, a large part of that is due to focusing on one instrument versus NASDAQ and gold, for example?
I think that if you want to become a jack of all trades, you end up being a master of none. So you have to focus on one single thing, be very good at it, and then you can offer this to Axi Select.
Can you explain to me maybe why you don't trade NASDAQ in your Axi Select account? Is it because maybe NASDAQ is just the side trades, your play account, or is it because you find value in trading gold with Axi versus another firm?
Axi has a lower spread on gold, so you should take into consideration the lot size. And not only that, but I feel that gold and the way that I trade gold is safer than the way that I trade NASDAQ. So for example, if I chose to allocate all of my account's resources to NASDAQ, I'd probably make around the same amount of money, but with way more risk. So it's not worth it. Gold is just better.
That's very interesting. So basically what you're telling me is that, number one, first of all, the gold spreads with Axi is very good, which is why you trade gold with Axi. But most importantly, it sounds like your gold strategy, your gold setup is less volatile or, more consistent than your NASDAQ. And so you're building your funds, your capital allocation, your consistent trading strategy with the instrument and the strategy that you feel the most confident in.
Sure, yeah, I'd say that. I think that the strategy that I have for gold is not necessarily better than the one that I have for NASDAQ, but because we're talking long-term investment, because once again, Axi is all about the long term, it's not about short-term, fast money. So I want bots that are more robust and they have more data and more tests behind them. So my gold bots are longer term, less volatile, once again, more consistent. And then NASDAQ, I can diversify my personal portfolio with NASDAQ, but that doesn't mean I'm going to run them on my main accounts all the time because it's more risky.
I think that's a really good point, because a lot of traders, they do try to trade multiple instruments. And I think what you just said is a testament to the success that people have when they focus on trading just one instrument alone. And I think for our viewers, I think that's a very valuable trading tip, because coming from a funded trader who has consistently over months and months only increased his success and his results, being able to tap more funds with Axi Select, that one of the keys to your success is really just focusing on one instrument. Because I think as a trader myself, and as speaking to a lot of traders, a lot of people have their focus trading account and then their play account, or the one where they're experimenting and dabbling with. So it sounds like that's very much the way you have approached things, that your serious account is the one that focuses on trading gold. One of the things that you mentioned right off the bat is that you're trading bots. And I know that a lot of prop firms don't allow trading bots, or they have restrictions on trading certain bots. Do you find that at Axi? Is there any restrictions, or is that maybe why you chose Axi Select?
That is one of the main things that I look for in the rules of prop firms when I consider joining them. And unfortunately, like most of them, or at least most of them when I looked back then, they don't allow bots, or they want the source code. So that defeats the purpose, because if I send the bot over, then you don't need me anymore. So then I was left with a few options, of which Axi was the best one. Axi does not care about how you trade as long as it is profitable and you don't lose more than 10%. With a few prop firms in the past, they've seen how my bots worked. I was able to pass their evaluations within a week or two, and they basically sent me an email saying, "We don't like the way you trade. I'm just going to refund you the money," and that's it. Because they thought it was luck. They didn't know it was actually based on mathematics and logic. Axi is the one that's more of a freedom giver than other prop firms, for lack of a better term.
I did not know that the prop firms, or at least some prop firms, ask you for the source code. I can imagine it's very frustrating for a lot of traders who work very, very hard on developing their trading strategies. Is this on MetaTrader?
Yeah, MetaTrader 5, and of course 4 as well, but I personally prefer 5. It's more updated, it looks nicer.
I know that most people have their trading bots on MetaTrader, and they're, with all the introduction of different platforms like DX and CTrader, MetaTrader still seems to be the platform of choice. So only a handful, I think, of prop firms still offer MetaTrader. So it sounds like Axi Select does provide that for traders who are much more comfortable with trading the MetaTrader platform. So talking about your bots, are these bots that you found online, or were they ones that you developed yourself?
Yeah, so I've developed them myself. There are programs online where they work as labs, essentially, in which you can give your inputs, and then it's going to cook something for you. There's one that I use particularly. It's called Strategy Quant, and it is basically, as I said, a lab where you just mix things together. You have different indicators, different visions that you can give this application. I will not consider it AI per se, but I think it's machine learning. I think that's what you can call it. You give it a vision because it cannot think critically, and then it starts looking for things that are within this vision. If you can find something good, you can prove to yourself, or with your bias and my biases in this case, that it is robust and it's not just gonna be fake results that you're seeing. If they're actually reproducible, then you are free to throw it in a real account, which is what I've done so far.
Oh, that's really interesting. So is Strategy Quant a program that does it in, I guess, conversational language? I mean, or do you still need to know a coding language in order to express what you want it to do? Or can it understand, basic instructions? Like, for example, if you were talking to ChatGPT and say, write a Pine script code for me, how does Strategy Quant work?
It's not the idea of the application for you to have to learn the programming language. I think their motto is algo trading without programming, so you don't have to know it. Though, because of my knowledge of programming, I was able to code things into this program, because this program is run on Java. So I could actually create my own indicators and my own columns of data, and that has been proving to be one of the differentials of the way that I trade. So for example, there is a rule present on most prop firms, not Axi, thankfully, of the daily drawdown. So it doesn't matter if you lose less than 10K overall. If you lose 5% a day, that's not 4%, they don't really like it, and then you lose the account. So then Strategy Quant does not have a way to deal with it. Now, what I did is, because I was on the prop firm game a few years ago, I saw the need for this. I coded the equity protector. And so every single bot that I make now, just my Strategy Quant and the people I work with, they have the ability to account for the daily drawdown now. And this is just one of the many things that you can do with Strategy Quant. There are plenty of options default, but it is going to be your differential if you can either A, be extremely smart, or B, know programming so that you can input more ideas into it.
That's very interesting. So if I can summarize what you're saying is that you started with an idea, you went to strategy quant, and you used different combinations, and that allowed you to use different combinations of indicators to test out your idea. And then you enhanced it with your own ability to code in order to, maybe, for example, limit the daily drawdown. But it sounds like it's approachable for most regular traders who just want to look at a way to combine different indicators and without, significant coding language.
Yeah, spot on. I think that Strategy Quant is a software that is very good. I think every single trader in the world should at least give it a chance, because maybe it's not your cup of tea, maybe you don't like quantitative trading, but you have to see this world. I cannot stress this enough. It's just going from water to wine. It's very, very different, like night and day difference of trading, because I myself used to trade like just looking at graphs at some point, and people make ironic videos on Instagram, but essentially, yeah, when you're trading without calculations, you're basically guessing. So I've seen a video of, so this is the Bart Simpson strategy, and then guy just draws Bart Simpson on the graph. This is essentially what trading looks like to me if you're not using mathematical and logical reasoning behind it. So Strategy Quant does a job of using that and making it friendly to everyone very well. So I do encourage everyone to at least take a chance. And I'm not sponsored, so you know that this software is really, really good.
What I think is that, you start off with a strategy that is well tested and thought out and that is coded. And it sounds like, that's the way you started. You took that code and you imported and you found a partner, like, a broker like Axi Select, that allows you to take that code, translate into a bot and trade it on their platform with fewer restrictions than a lot of the other prop firms who don't want you to be trading a successful bot, for example. So I think it's a little bit of both, right? Your smart trading strategy. It's a little bit of automating it, so whether you know how to code or not. And then it's also finding a really good partner that won't restrict you to use that bot the way that you need to or want to in order to succeed. And I think it's like a full package. And it sounds like, a large part of your success comes from being able to incorporate all of those three. Let's talk a little bit about your decision to trade with Axi Select. First off, how often are you trading? Is it one trade a day, a couple trades a day? How often is your bot trading?
As a general rule of thumb, the H1 bots should trade at least like once a week, maybe twice a month, like fortnightly. Apparently, this is a thing now. It depends on the markets, because the market works in cycles. It varies a lot, especially the swing trading bots, because what you're basically doing is you're basically telling the bot to look for a pattern within the week or within weeks. Some weeks are just not going to have patterns, therefore no trades are going to happen. But sometimes twice in a row, 2 weeks are going to have the patterns for the bots to enter an operation. So right now, I think just recently when I passed to Pro M, the bots have traded. I think it was like a couple weeks ago, but so far no more trades. So yeah, I'm just patiently waiting on that.
So one of the questions that I got asked when we did our first interview is, it sounds great. Kayan got funded with $500,000. He turned a $500 deposit into $500,000. But did he ever get a payout? And, we were talking about this earlier, and you said that since, your time at Axi Select, you've got paid out more than $90,000. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I have. Thing is, it's not really out of reach. You just have to be good at trading. And if people are watching this interview, that means that they know that Axi exists and they know that the Axi Select program is really good. So all they have to do is join the program and trade their way into this so they can still achieve it.
That's a really impressive amount of payouts, especially, for a 22-year-old. Can you tell me a little bit about how you decide when to pay yourself? Because are you still a student in school right now, or are you a full-time trader?
Yeah, so I'm a full-time trader at the moment. I graduated last year. Wait, was it last year or the year before? In chemistry, University of Nottingham. I since then have moved back to Brazil. But yeah, I think that it's difficult to balance school, university, and trading. I think that you can't just disregard education, because this is something that never leaves your brain, right? So it's always good to have knowledge. So go to school, go to college, go to university, go to all of that. However, it is also important to know what you want in life. I personally wanted to be free. Financially free, geographically free, all the perks that trading gives you. For example, you can see my face now that I might look a bit tired. It's just because I recently woke up. I'm not going to lie to you. My schedule is a bit of a mess. But then again, that is the life I've chosen for myself. It's only possible because of the way that I trade and the way that I make money.
You're a full-time trader, so I'm sure you have expenses, rent, food, car, whatever it is. Does that affect when you decide to take a payout? How does that play into your living expenses? How does that play into your decision to take payouts?
Living expenses always comes first, regardless, because without them, I just cannot eat. So if I had a advice to give to everyone who's trying to manage their budgets, I think that look at how much money you spend to just exist and then times it by 12. This is the amount of money so that you're going to be safe for 1 year. This is what worked for me, by the way. It may not work for everyone else, but so have 1 year worth of money in the bank account. You can withdraw after as well, but keep it there so that you understand that you still have resources left. And then all the rest, I personally like to leverage it. I do diversify it so that if NASDAQ goes down, I don't lose all my net worth. But I do prefer to leverage, especially because I'm young. So if I lose everything now, it doesn't really make a difference. Not everything, but if I lose most of it anyways, it doesn't make a difference. I can just rebuild myself. But as you grow older, I think that you have to be more careful with your risk management. You have to prioritize it.
Speaking of risk management, Axi Select provides a lot of tools that help you understand yourself as a trader better. I mean, there's a lot of talk about this edge score. Can you tell me maybe, how that has affected your trading, if at all, how it may have affected your path to becoming a pro M, $1 million funded trader?
So edge score is not really as intimidating as it sounds. It's just a assessment of how you trade. So if your edge score is lacking on certain aspects, that doesn't mean that you should worry about it and try to correct it as fast as you can. That just means that you know what to improve. And because the whole point of Axi Select is to be long-term, consistent investments and money and returns, then you do not feel the pressure or the urge to change it fast. You're going to look at the minimum trading days, you're going to see 30, 60, 40, I don't remember exactly. And then you're going to think, right, so I do have time to change the way that I trade in order to fit this edge score, because it is a good measurement of success, the edge score.
So with the edge score, I know, they provide more information on what the different components of it is. Does it inform you on what parts you need to do better in order to get that score higher?
Yeah, for sure. So there's, I think there's risk and there's consistency. So each one of them represents different things. One of them is going to represent the maximum drawdown you've achieved. And then the other one is how profitable you are. And then the other one is how consistent. So then maybe if you're lacking raw profit, maybe you're not being able to lock in the positive equities that you faced, or just not having any good entries, then the edge score is going to show you that, is going to reflect that. And then you know what to improve after.
That's actually a very good point that you make, which is that it can be a guide to help traders who are trying to figure out how to become a better trader, what aspects of their trading in order to improve, in order to get a higher edge score, which in many ways could be seen as a trading score, for example. So I think that it could benefit a lot of traders in terms of learning how to become a better trader like you. Are there other things that Axi Select offers that has helped you enhance your trading performance?
Yeah, so they do have a little chat room. It's like a social media for every single Axi Select trader. So I think it's nice that you can pop by and say hello, tell people what you think, what's going to happen in the market, give your insights. That is one of the things that Axi offers that I found very, very nice.
Speaking of community, you mentioned to me that you have a trading partner, right?
Yeah, I've got a business partner, thankfully. He's my childhood best friend, and thankfully we were able to work together when we grew older.
Do you trade together? Do you trade separately? Do you do things differently, or do you both do the same thing? Can you provide some information on how having someone else benefits both of your experiences?
Yeah, so the main thing about having someone else is that they're going to have different opinions than you. And I don't want to get too deep, but as humans, we don't really have the ability to see objective reality. There might be one, but we cannot access it. We all have different biases when navigating the world. And that goes for bots as well. So I have certain ideas of what work and what do not work for the market. My friend also has other ideas. So this is why he's the one responsible for the NASDAQ bots, and I'm the one responsible for the gold bots, because he has a different view of the world, of the market than me. So I do believe that having a different perspective can help you see things more objectively. That doesn't mean not trust your guts, because sometimes what you see is actually the truth. So for example, if I see a gold pattern and then my friend's like, no, this is not true, I can stand my ground and say, well, I appreciate your input. However, this, and vice versa, he can also do that to me. But it is important that we're able to discuss those ideas so that we can get to the best of both worlds, and then of course progress together.
So does he trade with Axi Select as well?
He's a Pro 500 trader. I do believe that he's trading Bitcoin at the moment while I trade gold. So yeah.
Oh, very interesting. And has he traded with other prop firms before, or did he just join the bandwagon when you started at Axi?
We've had a very similar story in the last few years. So yes, he's also traded with other prop firms. Though it's funny because since the beginning, he's been saying Axi is just going to be the best, it's the most scalable one. And I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to Axi. Like, he actually said this. Axi is going to be the best one. Those guys are serious about what they do. They've been a broker since whatever. They're like from Australia. Then there's a headquarters in the United Kingdom, apparently. So they are serious about this trading thing.
I don't know if you know this, but I know your experience with gold. Has he mentioned with crypto how the spreads are with Axi, or what the trading experience is like? Because I know there's also a lot of crypto traders out there and that would be interested.
Yeah, it's good. I don't really remember exactly the spreads, but it is tradable. Some other prop firms, and I'll even say most prop firms, are just untradeable. You cannot trade Bitcoin. I think like spreads go up to like what, 6K, 5K. With Axi should be like what, 1K max, like 1.5. I don't really remember the exact numbers, but from what I remember, yes, it is definitely possible to trade Bitcoin, Ethereum, any crypto that you want.
I mean, spreads vary all the time, various points in time with every instrument, but it's good to know that at least in his experience, it seems like it's very competitive. So, could you share maybe what some of the most memorable moments have been on your journey to securing $1 million in funding with Axi Select?
When Trump got elected, I was watching the market. I had a gold sell and I was just like hoping it would go down, but it was like kind of going up a little bit and then down again, then up. And then at some point, because like the time differences in Brazil, I was just so tired, just had to go to bed. And then the next day I woke up to unfathomable amount of money. This is like one of the biggest experiences so far. And then of course the second one was when my gold bots kind of clutched back up from the drawdown that we were having. Because the thing about swing trading, right, is that you don't really expect the bots to make money every single day and fast. There will be periods of drawdown which are completely expected and back tested. So I was through one of them during December, January, and February as well. Well, February not so much, but still. So 2 and 3 months of drawdown. And then now in March, I was finally able to bounce back. And of course, everything within the risk management, there was no big loss or anything. But it was just very gratifying to see that the bots are just really good. Just more confirmation, really.
Yeah, I think you said something that's really important there, which is that you had huge profit off of the Trump election. And that is probably something that is not necessarily consistent with what you had before. Where if you were trading with a prop firm that's consistency rules, that could probably broken the rule, right? Whereas with a prop firm or with a capital allocation program like Axi Select, there's no consistency rules. You can trade swing trading strategies that wait for the big winners. And that, this is one of the main differences between Axi and some of the other prop firms, right?
Yeah. So you can trade news with Axi. That's a very good thing. I particularly didn't go out of my way to trade news. I just put the bot in the graph and it placed a few trades that just happened to be in that week. But yes, if you solely trade based on news, Axi is not going to tell you that you can't and that is risky, as long as is within your risk management. Because trading news could be potentially good. Of course, some people could argue Scambo is a 50-50, but there's merit in doing it in the right way and like not risking it all and being able to manage your risks, especially over a long period of time. So this way Axi does the program the way they do to like make sure that your results are not just luck randomly, they're over a longer period of time, which you have to undergo. And that in turn makes it so that they can actually give you the biggest funding in the market available right now.
Well, as a trader, I think it goes beyond news, right? Because if you think about it, some people, they may have a strategy that focuses on, on a regular basis, base hits, but that occasionally a couple of them will be home runs. And so, that's a very legitimate way to trade, where you'll have base hits while you're waiting to catch the bigger trend. And so you want to have the flexibility to do that. And I think that, when you focus on prop firms that require consistency rules, it limits your ability to have those base hits while waiting for those home runs. So I think that it's true for news traders, like you said. It's true for anyone who wants to be a legitimate swing trader, in my opinion. So this is something that you brought up that I think is very valuable that a lot of people don't necessarily think about, but may also think that this is the way that they want to trade, which is sometimes they want to participate in the bigger trend. You've got an incredibly inspirational story, Kayan, and you made it to the top milestone at Axi Select, securing an astonishing $1 million in funding. What's next for you?
$50 million of Axi.
Do they even offer that?
Yeah, well, hopefully. No, I'm just kidding. So my next goal is to just diversify my net worth and in different assets, of course, growing it while I do it, so that when I get a bit older, I can be stable and have a family. So I think that's going to be the goal for me. I'm thinking about my future. So I need to gather money to buy a house, sort my car out, and then that's what I'm looking for. Now, professionally speaking, not personally speaking, I want to innovate the way that I make bots, right? So right now I have a certain bias towards robustness and bigger time frames, but I am experimenting and testing robustness in smaller time frames so that I can see whether I can get more performance in shorter periods of time while not also compromising robustness. So that is the goal for me now. I don't necessarily need more funding, but I need better innovation and more technology. So different bots, essentially.
So that leads me to the question to ask. It sounds like you're spending time working on the bots. However, are you also looking at different instruments, or are you just laser focused on gold and NASDAQ?
I can't lie, laser focused, because those two, and I'd say Bitcoin too, they are just volatile enough and they have enough volume so that I can trade every day. I've tried making bots for example, silver. Like, no one trades silver. Who trades silver? I don't. No one does. So it's just, I just can't find anything good for that. And US 500, like, right, it goes up. Thanks. Like, what else? Like, it just goes up. So it's very difficult to find a bot that's either going to be symmetric, just going to buy and sell, or just sell. So I can only buy, meaning that if it starts going down, I'm going to stop making money for like a few months. So that doesn't really make sense. At the moment, I'm looking for the most volatile and the most voluminous pairs, which are gold, NASDAQ, and Bitcoin.
Yeah, I really like that, because it seems like, even with your success and, the work that you're doing in investigating and enhancing these trading strategies, you are still very much focused on the instrument that works for you, or the instruments, and that you're not getting distracted by all the opportunities that are out there. Because there are so many things people could potentially trade. But I think from the masters that I've spoken to, and from someone as successful as you, the key to real success is becoming the master of that one instrument and trying to look and squeeze as much opportunity out of that one instrument versus trying to, get too diversified in the different things that you could potentially trade. So I think it's a very, very valuable tip for new traders, experienced traders who are really trying to become as successful as you. So there you have it, folks. Exciting times ahead for Kayan and Axi Select. Remember, there are no registration fees for this program. Live accounts are pretty much a given, and you can secure up to 90% profit share. And you could be the next person to access up to $1 million in funding with Axi Select. And with that, I want to thank you, Kayan, for dedicating your time to talk to me. Once again, congratulations on your remarkable achievement, and good luck on everything that comes next for you.
Yeah, thank you for giving me the spotlight, and I hope to see you once again when we have the 50 mil account ready.
They will have to open up the 50 mil account just for you. I hope so. But best of luck in everything.
Thank you. Bye.